Okay, hello everyone, welcome back once again. I am Nicodemus Kane. Today is June the 15th of 2023. I'm in a little bit of pain, but there's something that is in my back that is really hurting. So if you hear me wince a couple times, it's because I'm not feeling too hot. But we'll get that sorted out eventually. So today we're going to read Ezekiel 40. I just dropped my napkin. Hold on a second. I can't reach it. It's down there. We're going to read Ezekiel 40. That's good stuff, though, that as soon as I say that my back is hurting, I have to bend over to pick up a napkin off the floor. But this one's a long one. Ezekiel 40, it's like, what did I say, 4 pages? 3 pages? 2, 3? But it's long enough that I got to dedicate an entire video to it. So we're not going to be talking about much else. Not that there's much else to talk about anyways. So let us go ahead and jump right into this. Ezekiel chapter 40. In the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that the city was smitten, in the selfsame day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and brought me thither. And the visions of God brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me upon a very high mountain, by which was as the frame of a city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man, whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed, and he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show thee. For to the intent that I might show them unto thee art thou brought hither. Declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel. And behold, a wall on the outside of the house round about, and in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long by the cubit, and a handbreadth. So he measured the breadth of the building 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. So this is going to be one of those that's going to be very descriptive about, it's the temple, isn't it? This is the one that's similar to, is it in Revelations or was it in Isaiah? I cannot remember right now, but one of them had a dream where they saw somebody come along and they measured either the city or the temple itself. I'm sure somebody else knows. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that's it right there. Revelation 21? I should at least try to read the cross-referenced 21. What was it? Yeah, cross-referenced. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city. And the wall great and high, and had 12 gates. And wait a minute, right there. And he talked with me, and he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof. So yeah, very similar to that, but it gets very descriptive. So much descriptive that it is a lot of technical talk. There's numerology in there, which you can dissect however you want to. I'm not going to dissect the stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and read it. It's like I said, it's a long one, and I don't know Maybe there's something in here, maybe there's not. You never know. Let's go ahead and read it. Let's read it again, though. So, back up to the top. In the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that the city was smitten. So this is 14 years after Jerusalem fell. In the selfsame day, the hand of the Lord was upon me and brought me thither. And we're going to get into some oldie English stuff, where everything is all mixed around. We're going to start talking like Yoda here in a second. In the visions of God brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me upon a very high mountain, which was as the frame of a city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass. There was somebody else too that had a dream, where they saw somebody that was measuring the city. And it was the same man that was measuring the city in the other dream. I don't know how else to describe it. They were describing it almost exactly, word for word. Ezekiel's one of them, but then, like I said, Revelations does it, and then I think it was Isaiah. I don't remember. Right offhand, I don't remember. We're going to keep going, though. It's worth hunting out, though, because every single one of them seemed to have the same dream of the same man doing the same thing with the same reed, measuring it out. There was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed, and he stood in the gate. Verse 4, And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show thee, for to the intent that I might show them unto thee art thou brought hither. So it's for the intent that you will show them, is why I brought you here. Declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel. It's that oldie English. It's that mixed up oldie English that, for whatever reason, when they had it back in the supposed 1600s, it was so backwards. Verse 5, And behold, a wall on the outside of the house round about, and in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long by the cubit and a handbreadth. So he measured the breadth of the building, 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. 6 cubits. A cubit is what? Was it 2.5 feet? I don't remember what a cubit was. Let me look it up. Ow. I'm serious, man. My back is not doing good. 18 inches. Sorry. So it's about 1.5 feet. Yeah, about 1.5 feet. I thought it was 2.5 feet. Maybe to a giant. Yeah, it is what it is. So about 1.5 feet. So we're talking about 9 feet. 9 feet and a handbreadth. I think a handbreadth is probably, 6 inches. So it's about 9 feet. Let's just go with that. Okay. So verse 6. Then came he unto the gate which looketh toward the east, and went up the stairs thereof, and measured the threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad, and the other threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad. And every little chamber was 1 reed long, and 1 reed broad. And between the little chambers were 5 cubits. And the threshold of the gate by the porch of the gate within was 1 reed. He measured also the porch of the gate within 1 reed. Then measured he the porch of the gate 8 cubits, and the posts thereof 2 cubits. And the porch of the gate was inward. And the little chambers of the gate eastward were 3 on this side, and 3 on that side. They 3 were of 1 measure, and the posts had 1 measure on this side and on that side. And he measured the breadth of the entry of the gate 10 cubits, and the length of the gate 13 cubits. The space also before the little chambers was 1 cubit on this side, and the space was 1 cubit on that side. And the little chambers were 6 cubits on this side, and 6 cubits on that side. He measured then the gate of the roof of one little chamber to the roof of another. The breadth was 5 and 20 cubits, door against door. He made also posts of 60 cubits, even unto the post of the court round about the gate. And from the face of the gate of the entrance unto the face of the porch of the inner gate were 50 cubits. And there were narrow windows to the little chambers, and to their posts within the gates round about, and likewise to the arches. And windows were round about inward, and upon each post were palm trees. Then brought he me into the outward court, and lo, there were chambers, and a pavement made for the court round about. 30 chambers were upon the pavement, and the pavement by the side of the gates over, against the length of the gates, was the lower pavement. Then he measured the breadth from the forefront of the lower gate unto the forefront of the inner court without, 100 cubits eastward and northward. This is going to be interesting to go back through and read. There's no real teaching here. It's very descriptive, like I said. I'm sure that you could probably find, I don't know, let's see, Ezekiel. Court measurements. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. Let's see if maybe they got like a picture or something. Oh, they do. They have very descriptive pictures. Oh. It's worth looking up. Ezekiel court measurements. They have little drawings. And it's of the temple. Oh. Because, you know, it's like I said, it's very descriptive of how this is. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking through these. Alright. It's my back, I'm telling you, man. I don't know why it's hurting. It's really stiff right now. Got a lot on my mind, like I said. I got a lot of stuff I gotta work out. So verse 6 again. Then came he unto the gate, which looketh toward the east, and went up the stairs. Hey, you know what? Let's try this. Let's see if I can... Alright. I'll let you guys look at this so that you can see what I'm seeing while I'm reading it, so that you have an understanding of what's going on. The temple he's got, it's like I said, it's on the right hand side. There's like a little diagram down here too, but I want to keep this one. This is what he was measuring. All right. So, verse 6 again. Then came he unto the gate, which looketh toward the east, and went up the stairs thereof, and measured the threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad, and the other threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad. Alright, so we have an idea of what's going on here. And every little chamber was 1 reed long, and 1 reed broad. And between the little chambers were 5 cubits. And the threshold of the gate by the porch of the gate within was 1 reed. Between the threshold of the gate by the gate was 1 reed. Okay. I'm kind of looking at the diagram while I'm talking about this too. I mean, there's a lot. It's like I said, it's extremely descriptive. All right. Verse 8. He measured also the porch of the gate within 1 reed. Then measured he the porch of the gate 8 cubits, and the posts thereof 2 cubits, and the porch of the gate was inward. And the little chambers of the gate eastward were 3 on this side, and 3 on that side. They 3 were of one measure, and the posts had one measure on this side and on that side. Okay. And he measured the breadth, verse 11, and he measured the breadth of the entry of the gate 10 cubits, and the length of the gate 13 cubits. The space also before the little chambers was 1 cubit on this side, and the space was 1 cubit on that side. The little chambers were 6 cubits on this side and 6 cubits on that side. I am not a architect or any kind of a builder. I can read instructions, but instructions like this just go right over top of my head. So it is not exactly the easiest thing in the world to understand, but it gives you an idea. It's like I said, looking at the diagram gives you an idea of what he was seeing more than what we can understand. I had to take a little drink. Okay, so where were we at? 13. He measured then the gate from the roof of one little chamber to the roof of another. The breadth was 25 cubits, door against door. He made also posts of 60 cubits, even unto the post of the court round about the gate. And from the face of the gate of the entrance unto the face of the porch of the inner gate were 50 cubits. And there were narrow windows to the little chambers, and to their posts within the gate round about, and likewise to the arches, and windows were roundabouts. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reading today. And windows were roundabout inward, and upon each post were palm trees. Then brought me he into the outward court, and lo, there were chambers, and a pavement made for the court roundabouts. 30 chambers were upon the pavement. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Hey, why not? There you go. And the pavement of the side of the gates, by the side of the gates, over against the length of the gates, was the lower pavement. Then he measured the breadth from the forefront of the lower gate unto the forefront of the inner court without, 100 cubits eastward and northward. 100 cubits eastward and northward. So we said that it's about 100 feet. Let's more than 100 feet, probably 120 feet. So this place is big. I mean, this diagram makes it look tiny, but it's big. All right. And that's what it kind of says. You look at this one down here, you see the lower pavement, and these are those 30 little, what did it say it was? 30 chambers that are roundabout. Yeah. All right. Wow. Verse 20, and I'm going to keep this up. I'll let you guys keep reading it, or let you guys keep seeing it. Verse 20, and the gate of the outward court that looked toward the north, he measured the length thereof, and the breadth thereof. And the little chambers thereof were 3 on this side, and 3 on that side. And the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, were after the measure of the first gate. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. And their windows and their arches, and their palm trees, which after the measure of a gate that looked toward the east, and they went up into it by 7 steps, and the arches thereof were before them. And the gate of the inner court was over against the gate toward the north, and toward the east. And he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. Back to verse 20. And the gate of the outward court that looked toward the north, he measured the length thereof and the breadth thereof. So now we're looking north. And the little chambers thereof were 3 on this side and 3 on that side. The little chambers were 3 on this side. Which chambers are we talking about? Oh. The little chambers were 3 on this side and 3 on that side, and the posts thereof and the arches thereof were after the measure of the first gates. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof, and the breadth 5 and 20 cubits. I'm starting to get mixed up now. 22. And their windows, and their arches, and their palm trees were after the measure of the gate that looketh toward the east. And they went up into it by 7 steps, and the arches thereof were before them. And the gate of the inner court was over against the gate towards the north, and toward the east. And he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. He measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. In the inner court. Alright, I got you on that one. Okay. Then we have even more. We have not even begun to scratch this yet. 24. After that he brought me toward the south, and behold a gate toward the south. And he measured the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, according to these measures. And there were windows in it, and in the arches thereof round about, like those windows. The length was 50 cubits, and the breadth 5 and 20 cubits. And there were 7 steps to go up to it, and the arches thereof were before them. And it had palm trees, one on this side, and another on that side, upon the posts thereof. And there was a gate in the inner court toward the south, and he measured from gate to gate toward the south 100 cubits. And he brought me to the inner court by the south gate, and he measured the south gate according to these measures, and the little chambers thereof, and the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, according to these measures. And there were windows in it, and in the arches thereof round about. It was 50 cubits long, and 5 and 20 cubits broad. 50 cubits long and 5 and 20. Okay, sorry. And the arches round about were 5 and 20 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were toward the utter court. And the arches thereof were toward the utter court, not outer court, utter, U-T-T-E-R, utter court. And palm trees were upon the posts thereof, and the going up to it had 8 steps. We're going to have to look up some of these words. So let's go back up to 24. After that he brought me toward the south, and behold a gate toward the south. And he measured the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, according to these measures. And there were windows in it, and in the arches thereof round about, like those windows. The length was 50 cubits, and the breadth 5 and 20 cubits. And there were 7 steps to go up to it, and the arches thereof were before them. And it had palm trees, one on this side, and another on that side, upon the posts thereof. We're going to look up palm trees. Again, this is where I come. You are seeing this as I do it. 26. And it had palm trees. Palm trees. The palm-like pilaster, palm tree figure as an ornament. So it had the figure of a palm tree on it. It matters, these things that they put on the sides of these posts, that they put on the sides of these buildings, that they wore on the sides of their garments. I don't know what the symbology is, but there's something to it. So the palm tree, there's a reason why there were palm trees there. Again, I'm sure there's probably somebody out there that knows a lot more than I do, so you should probably go check that out. 27. And there was a gate in the inner court toward the south, and he measured from gate to gate toward the south 100 cubits. And he brought me to the inner court by the south gate, and he measured the south gate according to these measures, and the little chambers thereof, and the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, according to these measures. And there were windows in it, and in the arches thereof roundabouts. It was 50 cubits long, and 25 cubits broad. Alright. And the arches round about were 25 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were toward the utter court, not outer, this is utter court. And palm trees were upon the post thereof, and the going up to it had 8 steps. 31. Towards the utter court. Outer. Why does it say utter? This is just another word for outer. Towards the utter court, the outward court. That's weird. But then there's palm tree figures, like I said. And we're still going. Verse 32, and he brought me into the inner court toward the east, and he measured the gate according to these measures, and the little chambers thereof, and the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, were according to these measures. And there were windows therein, and in the arches thereof round about. It was 50 cubits long, and 25 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were toward the outer court, and palm trees were upon the posts thereof, on this side and on that side, and the going up to it had 8 steps. So again, just to have a somewhat clear understanding of what's going on here, which is kind of hard. See, sometimes the diagrams here don't do it justice. This helps a little bit. But of course, this says there were arches and stuff too, so I don't know. I don't know. It's just so much. It's so much. 32 again, and he brought me into the inner court toward the east, and he measured the gates according to these measures. And the little chambers thereof, and the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, were according to these measures. And there were windows therein, and in the arches thereof roundabouts. It was 50 cubits long, and 25 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were toward the outward court, and palm trees were upon the posts thereof, on this side and on that. And the going up to it had 8 steps. And it had palm trees on it. Why? I don't know. Alright. Let's keep going. 35. And he brought me to the north gate, and measured it according to these measures. The little chambers thereof, the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, and the windows to it round about. The length was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. And the posts thereof were toward the utter courts, and palm trees were upon the posts thereof, on this side and on that side. And the going up to it had 8 steps. And the chambers and the entries thereof were by the posts of the gates, where they washed the burnt offerings. So I'm looking at this diagram now, this one that's down here, and it's saying that the north gates is on the right side, and east and south is on the left side. So this whole thing actually faces the east. So let's talk about cardinal directions again for a second. Why would God tell him to create a temple that faces the sun? The one thing that God told us not to worship, not to follow. Now, if he did, if that's the way it is, then that's fine. That's great. I get it. That, they built it. It was facing towards the sun. Hey, whatever. Maybe it was to let the light in. Maybe that's exactly what it was. I don't know. But what if, and this is just speculation, what if the cardinal directions that we know today have been changed deliberately so that we don't know our direction, which way we're facing. What if north wasn't always north? What if north wasn't always called north? Just throwing that out there. I'm not saying that, anything has changed the way it is. Again, some people can point at maps and say, well, there's always been an arrow with an N on it. It's always been north. Well, okay, fine. I can agree with that. Who says that that's what the name of it was, though? Who says we always called it north? Maybe it just started with the letter N, but it was a different direction. I don't know. And quite honestly, you don't know either. Everybody wants to say they know everything. We know nothing. I just, cardinal directions. I bring this up all the time. But just looking at it, just on its surface, you're just kind of like, why would God tell us to create this thing facing the east? Unless it was deliberately to make sure that the sun could get inside of it somehow. The light could get inside of it somehow. I don't know. It just, like I said, seems strange to me. All right, let's keep going now. 39. And in the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, to slay thereon the burnt offering and the sin offering and the trespass offering. And at the side without, as one goeth up to the entry of the north gate, were 2 tables. And on the other side, which was at the porch of the gate, were 2 tables. 4 tables were on this side and 4 tables on that side, by the side of the gate. 8 tables whereupon they slew their sacrifices. And the 4 tables were of hewn stone for the burnt offering, of a cubit and a half long, and a cubit and a half broad, and 1 cubit high. Whereupon also they laid the instruments there wherewith they slew the burnt offering and the sacrifice. And within were hooks, an hand broad, fastened round about, and upon the tables was the flesh of the offering. Let's go back. There's something that I need to read again. So 39. And in the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, to slay thereon the burnt offering and the sin offering and the trespass offering. This is at the north gates. This is on the right side of that picture down there. And on the side without, as one goeth up to the entry of the north gate, were 2 tables. And on the other side, which was at the porch of the gate, were 2 tables. 4 tables were on this side, and 4 tables on that side. 4 tables on both sides. On that side, by the side of the gates, 8 tables whereupon they slew their sacrifices. And the 4 tables were of hewn stone for the burnt offering, of a cubit and a half long. The 4 tables were of hewn stone for the burnt offering, of a cubit and a half long. Of a cubit and a half long. How long was a cubit? 18 inches. So it's about the length from your elbow to your fingers. I've said this before. So 18 inches. The longest that this could be was a long cubit was 21 inches. It's almost 2 feet. There were 4 tables of hewn stone for the burnt offering, of a cubit and a half long. The longest that could be, a cubit and a half long, would be 10, 30, 31 and a half, 32 inches. Less than 3 feet? Did I miss something here? The description of what's in the book does not describe what's going on here. A cubit and a half, these are tiny little tables. It gets worse though. A cubit and a half long and a cubit and a half broad. So these are square tables. They're about 3 feet by 3 feet. They're smaller than 3 feet. It's 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet, which is like an end table. And 1 cubit high. And that made me stop. 1 cubit high. It's less than 2 feet high. These are tiny tables. How big is a cubit? What's going on here? Did they change the meaning inside of the words? Let's look at the actual words. There's something going on here. Of a cubit of distance, the forearm, roughly 18 inches. The legal cubit or cubit of the sanctuary. And it uses Ezekiel 40. So, are these like tables upon tables that they were using? These are 2 feet tall tables. This is an end table that they're using this to kill the sacrifices. Now, here's where I go into some more conspiracy stuff. If the cardinal directions could be wrong, what if the size of a man's forearm has shrunk? You know, we talk about Noah was told to make an ark X amount of cubits by X amount of cubits, you know, and they were bigger. We know this. We know that they were bigger back in the day. So, how much bigger was it? We look at the old architecture of the world, all the pictures and all the things like that. You know, it talks about mud flood and all the other kind of stuff. You look at the old architecture, and you see how big everything was. Everything was bigger in the world. So, was this a standard cubit that they say now is 18 inches? Or was this something bigger? What if this place was huge? I don't know. I'm that's just speculation. That's just putting it on that. You know, just putting it out there. Just throwing words at the wall. But I'm gonna tell you what. At 18 inches, at a cubit and a half long by a cubit and a half broad by 1 cubit high, this thing is an end table. This is an 18-inch tall table. This is. I wouldn't even have this. Where's my measuring tape? I have measuring tape here. What did I just drop? I just dropped something in the trash. What was it? I hope it wasn't important, because it's gone now. Oh, it was a guitar pick. Great. I ain't getting that one back, because I am not fishing through my trash can. 18 inches! Oh my goodness. You know how tall 18 inches is? 18 inches comes right up to... 18 inches comes right up to my knee. So you're going to tell me they had these tables that were just almost little tiny cubes that came up to my knee in order to make sacrifices. Maybe I could see it. I could see it if you took an animal, you brought an animal up, and if you killed the animal on it, maybe. Still. Maybe it was what it was. Maybe I'm looking too far into it. Maybe it was something else. But they were cubit and a half long by cubit and a half broad and 1 cubit high, whereupon also they laid the instruments wherewith they slew the burnt offerings and the sacrifice. So not only were these tables where they killed the sacrifices, but on these tables was the instruments where they slew the burnt offerings And within were hooks an hand broad, fastened round about, and upon the tables was the flesh of the offering. A goat is bigger than a cubit and a half long. Just saying. Just saying. There's something else going on here. Either the measurements have been changed, or the measurement they are using is not the same as the measurement that we think of now. Something else going on there. Let's keep going. 44. And without the inner gates were the chambers of the singers in the inner court, which was at the side of the north gate, and their prospect was toward the south. One at the side of the east gate, having the prospect toward the north. And he said unto me, This chamber, whose prospect is toward the south, is for the priests, the keepers of the charge of the house. And the chamber whose prospect is toward the north is for the priests, the keepers of the charge of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok, among the sons of Levi, which come near to the Lord to minister unto him. So he measured the courts 100 cubits long and 100 cubits broad, 4 square, and the altar that was before the house. So the inner court, which was 100 by 100, we're talking about the inner court over here. All right. The priest chambers is where is I? I'm guessing it's these. I don't know. Let's keep going. Oh, the priest chambers. Oh, they're talking about way up here. I'm thinking down towards the bottom. They're talking about way up here. All right. So back to 44. And without the inner gates were the chambers of the singers in the inner court, which was at the side of the north gate, and their prospect was toward the south. One at the side of the east gate, having the prospect toward the north. And he said unto me, This chamber, whose prospect is toward the south, is for the priests, the keepers of the charge of the house. And the chamber whose prospect is toward the north is for the priests, the keepers of the charge of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok, among the sons of Levi. Sons of Levi were the ones that were chosen to be the priests, to be the ones that handle all this stuff. That is their inheritance. They don't get to have anything else. They are the ones that get to do all this, which come near to the Lord to minister unto him. So he measured the courts 100 cubits long and 100 cubits broad, 4 square, and the altar that was before the house, and that's the altar that's right dead smack in the middle. All right. 48. And he brought me to the porch of the house, and measured each post of the porch, 5 cubits on this side, and 5 cubits on that side. And the breadth of the gates was 3 cubits on this side, and 3 cubits on that side. The length of the porch was 20 cubits, and the breadth 11 cubits. And he brought me by the steps whereby they went up to it. And there were pillars by the posts, one on this side, and another on that side. And I'm just going to look ahead. And 41 looks the same way. 42 looks the same way. 43 looks the same way. Then he brought me back to the gate of the inner stuff. 44 is the same way. 45. 45 looks the same way. 46 looks like we're talking about sacrifices. 47. Looks the same way. And then there's 48s, which does not look like we're describing the temple or sacrifices anymore. Ezekiel, what are you doing? You just completely made a turn on us there, buddy. So back to 48. And he brought me to the porch of the house and measured each post of the porch, 5 cubits on this side and 5 cubits on that side. And the breadth of the gates was 3 cubits on this side and 3 cubits on that side. The length of the porch was 20 cubits, and the breadth 11 cubits. And he brought me by the steps whereby they went up to it. And there were pillars by the posts, one on this side and another on that side. Again. And he brought me to the porch of the house and measured each post of the porch, 5 cubits on this side. He measured each post of the porch, 5 cubits on this side, 5 cubits on that side. It's only about 6 feet tall. 6 or 7 feet tall, give or take. The breadth of the gate was 3 cubits. That's about 4 feet. Again, it makes you wonder. If you follow the actual measurements, it may seem grand and huge. But if you follow the actual measurements, the posts are small, the doors are small, the tables they're using are tiny. I've always had a problem with the cubit. Because every time I hear somebody, or I hear the Bible talk about the measurements in a cubit, and then I hear other people talk about the measurements of a cubit and how big something's supposed to be and all this stuff, it doesn't line up with what I see physically in the world. They made this place, but it's not grand. Not that God needs a really grand, huge temple. I mean, I'm not saying that God needs for them to make this, grandiose, monstrous, oh my, look at this. But it's kind of small. And I refuse to believe that human beings were smaller than they are. Human beings were bigger than they are. Everything in the world was bigger than it was. Everything has shrank, not grown. We've shrank. So why would they make it so small? Well, the only way to do that is they would have had to have changed what the definition of a cubit is, so that you would think everything was smaller. I don't know, man. It's just crazy stuff. All right. Well, this is what we're gonna be reading for a while. Get used to it, because we're gonna be talking about the temple. We're gonna be talking about sacrifices. Ezekiel started off really strong, and then it just kind of pitters out towards the end, doesn't it? That's all right. We'll get through it. We're reading every word. So what we're supposed to do is read every word. I am troubled today. I'm really troubled today. So my stepdaughter is not the most righteous person in the world. I've talked about this before. She's willing to listen, but I don't know if anything is sinking in, which, it is what it is. We haven't really come to a clash of ideologies yet. She respects my boundaries when it comes to things like Easter and Christmas. We're definitely going to find that out because I don't know if she'll still be living here by December or not. I don't know if she'll still be living here by October. It's gonna be pretty weird in the house whenever Halloween comes around, and I'm like, nope, we're not doing that shit. Especially Christmas, because I am not going to allow anything in my house. She got away with Easter. She did an Easter thing outside of my house, and I was not here to be able to stop her and say, this is not good. It upset me. It really upset me. So anyways, it's not a perfect situation by no means. She, like I said, she'll listen, and I think she'll respect it as long as I respect her. But she had to go out and get her tags for her car yesterday. And she told me while we were sitting upstairs that she had to get one of those little plates holders because she has paper tags. She got a new car, so she's still got on paper tags. But she had to get one of those plate holders and some screws so that, she could put the paper plate on her car. So I didn't even think about it. I was just like, oh, okay, well, she's got to get a thing, whatever, that's fine. So I go out there to put a letter in the mailbox, and I turn around, and the plate protector she's got is that damn pride flag. Now you could say it's just rainbow. But it's not. It's not. It's exactly what it is. And boy, that bothers me. She knows how I feel about it. She knows that I don't agree with it whatsoever. I have not gone out of my way to tell her, this is something that we absolutely will not have in this house. I mean, I won't have it in the house, of course. But she knows that I am not supportive of any homosexual tendencies of anything. She is. And that's fine. I am going to give her that warning whenever we get a chance. Whenever there's a chance to where I know that if a blow up happens, that we can all come at it nice and peacefully. She said something the other day. Because she really, really wants to go to a pride event. So much. She said, regardless of what you think, and I should have stopped her right there, but I was already in a bad mood because of work anyways, and I wasn't really thinking right. I should have stopped her right there, and I should have said, honey, you don't even know what I think. You don't even know because you've only presumed of what you have heard me say. You've only presumed to have heard what's going on. My final stance, I mean, we can talk about it. I don't care. My final stance is that you can do whatever the hell you want to. Because God gives you the freedom to do that. God gives you the freedom to do whatever you want to in this world. It is when it comes to children and the manipulation of children, the sexualization, and then the pedophilia. That's where I draw the line. And to support any form of homosexual pride is to support pedophilia. Simply by saying that, I could get this video removed. But that's my stance. You can do whatever you want. Don't matter to me. You want to think you're a chicken, you want to think you're a dog, you want to think you're a monkey, you want to play pronoun pretenders, you can go do that all day long. God allows you to do that all day long. It is when those beliefs start coming over onto kids, trying to groom little children, that's where I have a problem with it. No, I don't appreciate people taking their sexuality out into the streets. Last time I checked, straight people don't go out into the streets and parade their sexuality around to others. That's just never happened. We don't go out there and throw it in people's faces. People think that they do. It's like black people claiming that white people throw their racism in their face all the time. No, we don't. No, we don't. That, again, you've been manipulated. Simply existing does not mean that we're throwing our ideologies in your face constantly. So anyways, I'm going to have a talk with her about that. I had a long prayer with the Father this morning in order to get me the right words, in order to unstiffen her heart so that she can understand that not only do I not appreciate it, but she needs to watch out what she supports. Because you know what they do. And I've seen this with so many people. They will allow the darkest, most despicable things to happen behind the scenes so that they can have their fun. Best way I can say is you can ask somebody all day, are you concerned with grown men doing things with little children? Yes, I'm concerned about it. Well, then why would you support a group that actively wants to allow that to happen? Well, that doesn't really happen. Yes, it does happen. The homosexual agenda is so that everybody can have every kind of dark and devious ways that they want to have it. You're taking pride in your ability to be whatever you want to be. And if that includes being a pedophile, then they will allow that to happen. Well, we don't like that to happen. We don't want that to happen. We're trying to push that out. But it's still there. And by your own rules, for you to say that you don't like grown men being able to dress as women and to do things with little kids, you have become a bigot. Oh no, that's not like that. We have to have standards. That's not what they want. You're supporting a cause that has become corrupted from the inside. That is going to eventually force you to have to deal with 50-something-year-old men having sex with 8-year-old kids. Oh, no, that'll never happen. Yes, it will. You have to come to terms with that. No, I just don't want to listen to you anymore. Yeah, you don't want to listen to me because you want to be able to do whatever you want to do. And the only way that you can do whatever it is that you want to do is if you have the freedom to do it. And your freedom comes with a price. Your freedom comes with letting others do worse. You will allow the darkest, most disturbing crap happen in the background just so that you can have a little bit of fun. That's exactly what this is. Ever since I saw that yesterday, that's all I've been thinking about. You will allow the darkest, most despicable things in the world so that you can have fun. It's somebody called it the or didn't really call it, but kind of pointed it out that, you know, if a fast food restaurant gets let's try this. If a local owned small business restaurant gets one bad review, nobody goes back to it. You don't ever go back to it. If you have one bad meal at a restaurant, you say, I'm never going back there. But if your favorite fast food chain gives you one bad meal, you'll keep going back in order to live with the nastiness of that fast food. You'll keep going back. But no, you go out to one small business, one small place that did you wrong once, you'll never go back to that place again. Screw it, I'm never going back to that place again. But oh no, I gotta have my childhood memories. I gotta have my burgers. I gotta have my McDonald's. I gotta have my Burger King. I gotta have my Arby's. I'm just as guilty of that. Arby's has done me so wrong. I don't even want to eat at Arby's anymore because they've done me so wrong, man. Oh, it was like I said, they can't do it. They can't do it the same bad way 3 times in a row. They did it the same bad way 3 times in a row. I said, they can't do this. It's not even right. I can forgive once or twice, but dude, I don't even want to go back. I don't want to eat that crap. That's why I stopped eating Wendy's. That's why I stopped eating McDonald's. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. That's why I stopped eating Taco Bell. Seriously, though, people will put up with it. People will put up with the worst crap in the world just so that they can live in their own sin. That's how I'm going to come up. That's how I'm going to approach it. And I'm going to ask her. I'm going to tell her, I'll buy her a new one. If you need a new plate thing, I'll buy you a new plate thing. It don't matter to me. I don't want you displaying that while you're living in my house. Not like that. Not in this neighborhood. Holy smokes. This is not a gay pride neighborhood. That's why we moved out here. These people are as humble and conservative as they can get. By you putting that out on my front driveway, showing these people what you think, and not what I think, what you think, you are dragging me down with you. I can't have that. So, I'm going to pray going to absolutely pray that the Father gives me the ability to be able to talk to her rationally about this so that we don't so that we don't blow up at each other. Because, I mean, this could get bad. And, you know, I have worked so hard over the past couple weeks just to build a rapport with her. Because she and I have never been close. You know, we've had a lot of knockdown, drag out arguments over the past 7 years. This is before I changed, before I became saved, before I knew how bad of a person I was. And we've both pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. So this one, I am praying to the Father that He helps so that it doesn't become such a nightmare. And I know Christ didn't come here to bring people together. He came here to separate us. And hey, if that's what it was, if that's the thing that drives us apart, if it gets her out of the house that much faster, hey, you know, it's not that we don't want her to leave. We want to help her as much as possible, but she has formed bad habits by being around doing nothing, you know. Granted, she has two kids that she's taken care of, but her attitude and her bad habits are causing me and my wife to have friction. That's why I said whenever I get done with Ezekiel, I have to go take care of myself, because we've got some problems in the house. But it's not just that, there's other stuff too. So, hell, maybe this is the thing. Maybe this will be the catalyst for her to get off her ass and do something. So again, I'm gonna ask the Father that He gives me the words. He gives me the understanding that I need, that I can talk to her, and we can have a decent conversation. Maybe, hell man, maybe she might actually learn something. I can just pray to the Father that He will take away the hardness of her heart, so that she will be able to hear it. Again, she got two kids. She's got to be able to understand. If I just come at it like that, would you want a 56-year-old man going in, or dressing like a woman, going into the bathroom with your daughter? My granddaughter's 4 years old. Is that what you want to support? By putting that on the back of your car, that's what you're supporting. And I don't want that in this house. You keep those ideologies to yourself, as far away from me as possible. But in the end, also know that God will not forgive that. God wants you to come out of that. And He's always there waiting for you. Never thought I'd be here. Alright, so anyways, thank you guys for listening, for coming around. I'm going to go to work. It is Thursday. I cannot believe the week is already gone. Time has just sped up again, you know? And it's like week by week, we're just going faster and faster. I gotta see how my mom's estate is doing, because we are getting really close to selling her property in Florida. We have to be getting really close. I mean, it's got to be right there. So, hopefully somebody will tell me something. Hopefully things are still working in the background. That'd be nice. You know, hopefully things are still working in the back. It'd be funny if I'm sitting there talking about it and then it's just like everything is stopped in the background. And, you know, nobody's doing anything, and everybody's waiting on me to do something, and I'm just sitting here like, nobody told me. I don't know. That would suck. That would really suck. Alright. So, I shall talk to y'all later. God bless everyone. You take care of yourselves. With God's grace and strength, we can get through this. Okay? God bless every one of you. I shall talk to you later.